That mother back there is not real.
There was a group of reptilians there, and they stood around me in a circle.
Tradition tells us that the army of the Messiah is not to come from heaven, but is to arise from inner
Truth Seekers, what's going on? And tonight we have a great show tonight. We're going to talk about the shadow lover that you never chose. And once again, I'm going to start with saying there's a reason that you wake up exhausted. A lot of people don't know that, especially when you sleep alone. Also, there's a reason your relationship collapsed sometimes. And when you how about this? When the love felt divine, then there's a reason some of your deepest desires come with shame, confusion, and fear. But what if you've been touched by something not human? And if you remember a long time ago, we actually had a call that came in where she was talking about how she was being visited a lot. This was a while back. But anyway, they say demons were a mask, but what if the mask is beauty, intimacy, and ecstasy? And you got to think about it, because across history, these beings have appeared in symbols, legends, and sacred texts. When you look back on it, and the dark visitor in the night, then you're talking about the seductress in the dreams, the whisper that you are mine. But anyway, tonight we're going to break the silence. We're going to go what I call going into the uncovered ancient mystery of the Incubus. We're going to also get into a little bit of what I consider the succubus, when you want to think about it, and who's in your bed. Now, this is not just a myth. These are astral lovers who feed, seduce, and sometimes create something within you. Yes, we got a great conversation about that tonight. This isn't just demonology. This is psychology, symbolism, as I told you, where we're going to go, and sexual energy. Now, if you ever woken up confused, obsessed, drained, this show is your reckoning. We're going to get into it, and we're going to talk about who's visiting you, why they're here, and what they may leave behind. So whether you're the man or woman, this entitles adapt you and your polarity, what's going on. So tonight, no one is safe about the information, and no one is alone. And so we're going to do that. So let's get into the conversation that I promised that's going to be a good one for you tonight. And once again, what's happening with all the truth seekers. Also, listen, real seriously, I was reading some of the comments and things that we had on last few videos and going back over some of the comments and everything else. There are some people saying some negative things. I've been getting attacked a little bit. And so definitely, I know it's a lot for one of my mods or two that are modding, but I think we're really going to need some more mods, because we're growing, our reach is growing, and more haters are coming and really just saying some of the craziest things that you could ever hear. So therefore, but in order to be a mod, I have to have the correct username. I just can't do it here. So if you want to be in our trusted mod, one of our trusted people, send the email, contact@whythebigsecret.com. Your name, I need to know your name, and then your YouTube username, so I can add you to our mod list and everything else. And because we got to be vigilant, we're going to be having guests coming up, and there's no way. And when people sharing their story, especially when they calling in, we don't ridicule. We ain't doing none of that here. And I need some serious mods. I'm talking people that's going to clamp down on anything that you sense is not what we do here. I don't want nothing to slide by. I don't want nobody to slide by. Block them out. Get them off the channel. You can block them. I'll give you the access to kick them out for good. They can't even watch the channel. We won't even show up in their feeds. That's how serious we're going to get. But I need those type of people. Nobody passive. Nobody, oh, maybe this. Now, if you think it's wrong, nip it in the bud quick, just like that, because we got to develop, because the things that we're going to be talking about, we got to protect people. We got to protect people that's going to call in and or share their experiences, come in on guests and everything else. So with that being said, if that's you and then you got the whatever to go and be a mod, email me. And that's what I want you to do. And if you don't email me, don't put in the chat that you're going to do it and you don't, because a lot of y'all do that, right? Accountability time. Okay. If you're going to, somebody put one of the mods, put the email address up in the chat, and so people can know where to go. All right. So we're going to start with the folklore. And we're talking about the demon. Sometimes they call it a demon breeding program, but I'm going to break it down into what they call the medieval demonology scholars like King James in it, and then Thomas Aquinas and everything else. So we're going to talk about the succubus as what we call the collector, the incubus as the impregnator. The succubus, as you know, seduces a man and extract his semen during the night. This is what is being said. And she does not fertilize it herself. Instead, she stores the essence. This is really interesting when it comes down. It is really interesting when it does that. The incubus as the impregnator, the same spirit. Partner incubus, then it uses collective seed to impregnate the human women, and supposedly these things are able to create what some consider demonic children or demon human hybrids or whatever, and it's called the cambion is born. These are results is a child born of human matter but influenced by demonic spirit energy. So you remember, we're energy beings, so it's definitely something that go. And the most famous legendary one was Merlin. If you remember King Arthur, the stories is said to be the child of a nun, and an incubus. All right, so let's get down into the other part. I'm going to explain a little bit about the spiritual alchemy of these offsprings, and then we're going to go into some deep parts of this, and pretty much from there. And so in occult systems like Thelma, Gnosticism, and some left-handed path doctrines, this is not just literal. It's energetic, it's symbolic, it's deeply metaphysical when we talk about this. We're talking about astral compilation when we look in this. Spiritual or astral intercourse with non-human entities can alter the energetic field of the human host, especially the wound, okay? Now we're talking about the chakra systems. We'll get in that tonight. The aura, or seen as the cosmic womb that can incubate non-physical beings or thought forms. This is pretty interesting when you get down to it. And we're talking about the creation of topic energy. Now, through intense repetition, sexual ritual, psychic bonding, and human may unknowingly manifest a conscious energy form, a tulpa, a servitor, which is considered a count of a child between the two dimensions. Now, this child may exist on the astral plane, influencing reality from beyond the veil. Now, we're talking about walk-in or possession. All right, so this is what we want to get into. In the darker accounts, the offspring is not born through birth, but enters into the physical realm by hijacking the soul at birth, okay? And it's a kind of a reincarnation through possession is what it is. And this could result in a human born with strange gifts in some cases, disconnection from humanity, or a sense of dual soul conflict when it comes down to this. And there's a lot of, as we go into symbolism, we talk about the archetype and symbolic interpretation, what the demonic child really means. And then, like I said, we're going to get further into it. We're talking manifesting of the shadow. When we go into our archetypes, the cambion can represent the union of suppressed desire, which is the succubus, and an uncontrolled force in the incubus, forming a child that leaves inside the psyche, obsession, guilt, addiction, or genius, matter of fact. Unholy alchemy, they talk about. The spiritually offspring is a result of unconscious alchemy, and you merge with something not of this world, but bring forth something that cannot control. False ascension. The child may represent a premature attempt to access the divine power without purification. In the Gnostic tradition, this counterfeit spirit born with the soul mates with deception instead of the truth. All right, so we're going to get into some modern spiritual theories, and then we're getting ready to go deep. So be ready, put your shoes on, because we're going to walk into a few things, pretty much today. So some of the channel teachings, when you talk about the spiritual theories, and this is how I got into this a long time ago, because some of the channel teachings and ufology theories, remember, I'm a ufologist, like those of David Jacobs, Barbara Bethard, claim that ETs are interdimensional entities, not unlike Incubus and Succubus, but they use sexual energy extraction to create hybrid programs as well. So there's supposed to be some correlation between the two. Now, these hybrids are said to be non-corporeal or semi-physical, existing in other frequencies, but influencing human events, leaders, or the bloodlines. And so we know we get into the bloodlines here deep. Now, theories surrounding elite bloodlines often contain whispers of ancient non-human insertions. So we've gone into that a lot. So before we get into this deep, I'm gonna break the tonight conversation into two sections. We'll start with the incubus and get deeply into that, and then we'll go into the succubus. Okay. But the questions for you guys is, if these spirits can steal energy and influence dreams, can they also shape destinies through spiritual offspring? So let that reflect for a minute. You can post it in the comment here, and I'll read it again. If these spirits can steal energy and influence dreams, could they also shape destinies through spiritual offspring? That is something really to think about it, because think about it. When you remember the movie, and I don't know if this kind of relate, but if you remember the movie The Omen, right? Damien and all of that, and how that whole storyline went down, it was pretty interesting when it comes down to this. But again, if you ever saw the movie or the series of movies, it was incredible. The other ones, have you ever felt like something was birthed inside of you after a dream? Think about that, or an obsession, and an idea or energy that wasn't yours. So I want you to really think about that question. And I'll say it again. Have you, we're talking about you, have you ever felt like something was birthed inside of you after a dream? I mean, have anyone had that feeling? You woke up in the morning, you're like, did I have a baby last night or something? You know what I mean? An obsession, or maybe an idea or energy, and it wasn't yours. It wasn't your energy, when you say that. So I think it's more, than that when it comes down to it, So one that goes down is, what if the child isn't physical, but an implanted destiny? Like Damon was a destiny, the Omen, if you remember the movie, it was a destiny for him. And what if that is happening? Could some bloodlines of public figures carry interdimensional DNA, metaphorically or energetically? This is just, and I'm only posing these questions because I like to give you information you can read, you can think, things that could open your mind to the possibilities of what we're talking about, right? And because again, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. And so we don't do that here. We make sure we are opening the mind, and we can do that. So once again, we're getting ready to go deep. This is going to be a great conversation and deeper, and hopefully some shareable content for you. And like I said, we're going to break it down to two halves, as you see the title on the screen. Are you being visited by incubus or succubus? What is in your bed? I saw preliminary that some people said they had some experiences already when I saw in the chat when I first was looking before the show started. So let me know. Reedy says, unfortunately, yes, I had 2 kids with a succubus back in 2012, which I never came in contact. I knew this conversation was going to really open up some people tonight, because I was studying some symbolism yesterday, and I was like, and I ran across that, and then I flipped the page and I started reading something else. And then I came back and I said, no, we're going to talk about that tomorrow, Roderick. Let's do that. So yeah, and you think about sleep paralysis, and all of the stuff, if that's the case, some of y'all got some astral babies out there that you're not paying child support for, something number 6. But don't get it twisted. We're going to talk about the incubus first. Then we're going to get into the extraordinary world of the succubus, the the sex, the woman side of this thing. Yeah, it's amazing. All right, so let's start with the incubus spirit, male aligned entities, feminine targets. So that's where this goes. Okay, and first thing is something draining you? That's the first thing you want to think about. Now, some of this stuff is going to apply both ways, but we got a special part for both sides. So stick with me with that. Now, could the fatigue, brain fog, or emotional weight that you're carrying be a sign of astral seduction? And could it be? Now, just to give you a little more insight, you could think you're just tired. You think it's just stress. You think maybe it's the job, or it's the food, or maybe it's the noise. But what if it's something unseen, siphoning your energy, night after night after night? The incubus, it don't knock at the door. It don't say, "Hey, baby, can I hop in the bed with you?" It doesn't say, "Hey, you looking nice tonight. Let me," and it doesn't say or doesn't care about a headache. It don't care about any of these things. It don't care about if you just finished the or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't care. It don't have no feelings. It ain't worried. It ain't saying you worked hard today, baby. Or let me rub your feet first. It's not doing none of that. It slips between the dreams and doubt. It goes right in there. So the first question is, have you ever felt spiritually hungover? See, that's deeper than anything else. We're talking without drinking or using any substance. Have you ever just felt that way? Come on now, get involved in the chat now, because this is deep. This is deep. This is deep. And some of you are really probably engaged with one and it's satisfying for you, because this can complicate relationships. This could break physical relationships. When you waking up in the morning, I already had all you can get or got or was gotten. You get what I'm saying? And then your man or woman looking at you like, you don't do this with me anymore. Well, maybe not. And maybe something is in he or her ears telling her, I'm your thing. You get what I'm saying? And it's in the dream world, people, when this comes. So again, answer the questions, being honest. Have you ever felt spiritually hungover? I'll wait for some of the text without even drinking any substances. I'm sure one of you have. Somebody have. I'm sure, like Dumb Needy said, that he has some kids. I would love to hear about that. And so the other question, what's the difference between burnout and something feeding on you? See, this is where we're really going. And we already talk about in real part of reptilian stuff, the Lucian feeding, parasitic energies that are following people around every day. Again, truth versus authority. But it's a lot of symbolism in this. Is why we're having this conversation, because this is where we're going. And we'll talk about that tonight. So I'm not going to leave it out. I'm going to put it up here in the shelf. Let me put the symbolism portion right up here on the shelf next to the grammar and letter box. All right. And tonight I'm going to butcher a few words. I just want you to know, be prepared, but your conscious is ready, because we are conformed in the conscious world, that you will be able to understand certain things. Even if I said blah, 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 you already know what that just meant when I said it, right? You already know. Okay. So it bees like that. See, that's ebonics. So you already know what I'm talking about. All right. So why do some people always feel drained after romantic dreams? Think about that one. While others feel empowered. There is a distinct spectrum between the two. There are some people wake up in the morning after a romantic dream and they like, man, what a night. And then there are some people who wake up like, oh man, that was on. Whoa. You get what I'm saying? Because think about it. And we're talking about these entities that are invading, because you got to remember, when we're sleeping, we're in the astral world now. Everything goes. It all goes. You can fly. You can run fast. You can swim underwater, right? You can walk through walls. You can see through walls. When you're in the other part at night while you're dreaming, you got superpowers, or weaken, either which way when the attacks come, right? So we're not just, again, work with me now. So Dr. Strange says the last time our girl had sleep paralysis, she said she saw an orange fuzzy being crawling over my sleeping body in the corner of her eye. Okay. All right. So yeah. All right. So in other words, and come on now, y'all can get more a little active in this chat tonight because I know I'm touching somebody. I know I'm okay. Wait till I get to the succubus for the men, but for you women, I'm just telling you, could the invisible drain be why depression spikes during major cosmic shift? You know, we have these lunar different things, and a lot of time people wake up being drained. Could it be something totally different? Could it be? Could it be something totally different? That's one of the things that I will tell you when you think about it. So the other part of this, you got to understand that these entities understand the system because they go into chakra targeting. They go into the root, the sacral, the self. This is from the archetypes. They go into the chakra. We're talking the incubus connect through the lower three chakras. This is where they come from, impacting survival, sexuality, identity, and they're feeding or awakening. They're doing one of the two. And so, all right, that's fine. And so let me kind of give you a little more insight when I talk about chakra, and then I, tie it into archetypal, when we're talking about this. So we're talking about the root, the sacral, the solar plexus. When we're thinking about this, these are not random access points. I want you to know that they are primal gateways. We're talking about the lower three chakras and how they are accessing these things. The incubus don't just seduce, it locks in into your power sources. And the other question is, are they unlocking your hidden forces? Because remember, a lot of people are not tapped into their chakras. A lot of people are not there and don't understand that where that power lies. And so it does get pretty interesting when this goes down. And so it is something worth noting once you look at it and once you get a better understanding of how that works. And so I think it's important that people tend to figure that part out, right? And so, we just kind of go there. Now, first of all, I got a lot more tonight to get into. Or is this interesting to some of you? Does this interest you? Have some of you thought maybe or know someone who has had those experiences? If you have, put it in the chat. Let me see. And pretty much. And let's kind of go there. I want to see what your thoughts are when it comes to this, because once again, this is happening, people. It really does. This is really happening, and pretty much. Okay, so right there on the screen, I want you to screenshot with your phone. That's the email address for those of you who are going to participate in the mods, being a mod and everything else. So you'll get your little wrench by your name, so people are going to know it. So you'll see a few of them in here already. Our godmother of the channel here. And Kieta, I didn't read that. She said, "Who is harassing my hubby, Papa Smurf?" Yes, they are. I think it's Gargamel doing it, when they do that Smurf head. But anyway, so again, screenshot that so I can get you there. I'm going to take it off the screen, but I want you to screenshot it and then email me so you can do that. So we can kind of go from there. So I got a few more questions for you though. So again, we're talking about, are they unlocking your hidden force? Are they hacking into your inner operating system? Because that's something you want to do. Because if you think about it, what if your financial struggles, because this is getting deep. So I'm going to give you some other parallels here. What if your financial struggles, your sexual confusion, your identity or energetic side effects? What if those personas and those things that come from our archetypes and the symbol side, the symbolism side? We're not talking about, where you think it's an emotional flaws, but it's not. Something you know what I'm saying? It's not your fault. You may, hearing all this crap, but it may not be your fault at all. So we're talking about the realistic thing of financial struggles that people blaming themselves for when it may not be your fault. It could be something totally deeper that is accessing and causing a lot of these issues that's going on. You get what I'm saying? And so You know, we're talking sexual confusion, identity crisis, you know, all of this stuff. So when your sacral chakra flares, do you feel more alive? You know, think about it. When your sacral chakra flares up, you know, think about it. You know, do you feel more alive or more addicted? Just I want you to really ponder on what I'm saying tonight. We're going deep. So just think about it. Some of this stuff can pass over to this side or that side, but really think about it though. Really think about it. You know, why would entities target the same chakras used in trauma programming? Now that right there is $1 million question. One of them. There's many more. The entities are entering the same trauma programming area that are used for MK Ultra, all these other places. They're doing the same thing. So it makes you wonder if there's a connection between these entities and what is happening. It's like somebody's teaching these humans the playbook, right? And the humans said, okay, we need to do this. We need to tap into this. We need to do that. Think about all of those scenarios because it gets pretty darn deep when you really think about it. I'm just telling you that it is something for you to think about, right? Or at least put into the questions of things. Because I'm here to tell you there may be things that's not your fault. That's all I'm trying to say. It may be because you are being targeted. All right, and sensually being targeted. You know, that's something else that I will say to you, you know, when it going down. So, but the other question is, are you being spiritually activated or emotionally destabilized? Because that's going to be the two sides of the coin. You know, are you being, you know, spiritually activated? Because I think some of these succubus and incubus, they may not all be bad. There could be some good ones. You know what I'm saying? There could be some good ones and some bad ones, you know, malevolent. It just depends. You know, I would assume, or maybe not. You know, I'm not saying I want a good one to come and see me tonight either. I'm not saying that and not even trying to. But I'm saying, is it a possibility that that's what happens? Think about it though, you know, and it's all I want you to do. I want you to open your mind like a parachute because it works best when it's open. This is all we do here. I asked a lot of questions because it's not what, it's the why. Why are you being visited, if anything? Who's in your bed? That's another question to really be thinking about. So now, as we are going into the incubus, the lover, or parasite. See, that's going to be how you're going to have to perceive it. Because when the visitation happened, and there's a lot of time it happened. I've had it happen to myself. You know, that's why I'm very familiar. And I've had many phone calls and interviews, and I've interviewed hundreds of people. So I've heard it many times. And the other part is it a parasite or is it a lover? And like I said, I wish she was here tonight, man. She used to call in on our show, and you know, and she was telling how whatever it was visiting her. Remember, I don't know if y'all remember the interview. It was way back then, and she would, and I was like, "What do your husband say right next to you, knowing this is happening because he sees it? What do you do? You know, you get what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, 9 months later, your girl is pregnant." And you all are happy that you're having a child. Whoa. Because some incubus seduce you with promises of empowerment because they don't just take advantage of you. They speak to you. That's really deep, right? They speak to you, but leave you empty. And how do you tell the difference? That is something some people cannot tell the difference. You know, when you're dreaming, your body don't know. You know that, right? Your body, that's how a lot of people, you know, leave this world, transition in their sleeps on having, and because your body don't know the difference between a dream or reality. You can have some type of, you know, attack, and because you're stressed and having a nightmare, and it causes the same physical effect as it does if you were watching it yourself, a rhino about to charge on you, or a gorilla about to, you know, and you dreaming King Kong's about to step on you, and you just lose your mind. Your body don't know the difference. It just don't. Sometimes your conscious and when you're unconscious now knows that there's a difference, that you're dreaming, and sometimes you can control that. But I'm saying sometimes when they seduce people in these dreams, they're offering promises of empowerment, you know? So think about it. They whisper promises. All right, so I'm going to play the role of an incubus right now. And this is just acting, okay? I'm not one, okay? I'm not of that. None of that stuff. I really would love natural, real life intimacy, okay? None of this dream world stuff. However, when we get to the succubus, we're going to talk a little more deeper tonight. Another way you'll get to know me even a little more. But in the meantime, before we get to that, the incubus will, while you're sleeping, will probably say, you're special. Hey, baby. So, all right, I'm going to use somebody's name. Who want me to use your name? Put in the chat, use my name, but I need your first name. Okay, give me a first name, and I'm going to talk to you tonight as an incubus in a few. Just here, just a little bit. It's not going to be long. It's just role playing, but we're dreaming, right? You know, so let me know. If not, I'll make up a name. I'll just make up a name because some of you may not want the role play of an incubus tonight. I get it, but it's essential because in a dream world, you don't know, and it's a dream. And you better believe this thing knows your desires because it's tapping into your stuff. All right, so since I got a few choices here, and I've always told you, you know, if I was a king, I can have many wives. So let's just go with Marie, Diane, and Sonia. I have a trio. Okay, I have a trio. So I say, hey, babies. But anyway, so I have a word for each one of you. So I will say, Diane, you're special, baby. You're special. And the incubus is telling Diane this as she's dreaming. Her eyes are closed. And now imagine all the other stuff that's happening. But regardless, you're special. And she's feeling special. But you can use your imagination because I'm a lover. I'm an incubus. I'm a lover. I do all things. I do everything, the unimaginable stuff. I go in unimaginable places, things that you would only imagine, in places that you can only fathom because you're special, baby. Right? So imagine that. So then when we get to Sonia, I'm going to say, you're powerful. You're powerful. And I'm just going to keep repeating that while I'm doing my thing. Why? Because I'm an incubus. It's in the middle of the night. I don't care if Raph over there next to her, he can't do nothing about it. Raph can't do nothing about it. I didn't knock on the door. I didn't have to go through what he went through. I'm not buying no cars. I'm not paying no bills. You know what I'm saying? We ain't going to the cheesecake. We don't even go to McDonald's. I don't have to. It's mine because you're powerful. Right? And then when we get to Sonia, you're the chosen. Right? So now it's one of those things. Sonia said, ain't no one but me and you. Ha! You can't tell the incubus that because and so we'll get to a succubus too. But I'm only doing this to bring a little humor into the situation. But I'm saying to you all, it's that powerful at night when this is going on. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of people will wake up, and if they only was truthful, will tell you that they were visited. I guarantee you. If we had a spirit of honesty in here, this, it'll probably be 20 people, man and female, saying somewhere along the way they've been visited, and however you want to do. But the whole point is, but when they're gone, what's left is emptiness. Or could it be a little more clarity? Do you wake up the next day and now you see things a little different? Because the true spirit of companion heals. That's what we all seek. We all seek. I seek it. And, that's the goal, to find true love. I don't think I've ever experienced that. So before I leave this earth, I hope to God that I get to experience. Otherwise, I got to come back. I'm going to come back. And that ain't a bad thing to come back for, right? Say, hey, I'm coming back for true love this time, you know, whatever. But I'm saying that a true spirit companion heals, but a parasite mimics that bond until it owns you. Some of us are in parasitic relationships and don't even know it, right? When it comes down to this. So it is something there when you think about it. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's just something else. But I'm thinking this is why 100% why I have my protection. I have my protection symbol, sigils, and we're going to teach that. I'm going to start teaching in the Patreon next week. We're going to start going live there twice a week. Actually, a little more here than we are there because it's time for me to get back in there. But it's all symbolism. I'm going to teach sigils, how you build your own sigil. We're going to talk some deep stuff. And then, of course, we're going to really do it on our meetups. But the whole point is, it's part of the symbolism, right? And so you need to know and have your protection. Because, again, one thing is true companionship. The other one is a parasite that mimics the bond until it owns you. And the question I will have for you, have you ever met someone in the spirit or flesh? See, this is where the other honesty come from, who made you feel high, and then all of a sudden they made you feel hollow. Have you ever ran into that? Have any of you, male or female, ran into someone in the spirit or flesh that made you feel as high as the world, but then all of a sudden you're just hollow? You don't even know what happened, just poof. Now that same thing is draining you. So, you know, what about that? You know, what happens in scenarios like that, you know, and thus far, right? So it's things you have to think about. See, these conversations like this, we don't get a lot of audience for it because people are afraid to talk about it. People are afraid to address it. Nobody's going to come forward and be like, yeah, something is visited. It's some people in here is getting visited just about every night and they know it. And I'm not saying it as a bad thing. It's like, how do you get a better understanding and deal with it and fix it or get rid of it? And is affecting your real world on the other side. And I'm just telling you, yeah, they can be energy vampires, aqua girl rising. Yeah, 100%. In fact, that's probably what the parasites are. You know, again, have you ever met someone in spirit or flesh that made you feel on top of the world, high, I should say, and then hollow? And then the other part is, what does a real spirit lover give back to you? That's a question. If you ever had a spirit lover, what do they give back to you? What do a spirit lover give back to you? If you think about these things, probably nothing. Sonia said it's happening to me about twice a day. Guy had me high and then nothing. Thank you for the honesty. There you go. So there you go. It's real life, right? Could some incubus be mimicking your twin flame or higher self? Oh, I know you didn't want me to go there. How many of you people sit here and say, you hear them, my twin flame or my higher self? But what if, you remember how I used to tell you guys that you get so many people that are so in love and they got to close their eyes and go into this other realm? They got to go and there's so much into themselves. What if that incubus is the one that's in their ear? And remember, I said it's very difficult because these people can't love outward no more. You will meet them. You will meet those type. I'm not using it as a negative sense because that's who they are. That's just the way they roll. But there are some people who are so in love with me, they will disappear. They will do all these things. And it's not because it's their fault. It's just that somehow that other higher self that they think they're connecting with could be something else, an incubus or a succubus. And it's just waiting for them. It's telling them to disconnect. It's telling them don't love the human beings. Don't worry about it. I got you. You don't need them. You don't need to. Could you imagine that? People, I'm not playing with you today. This is not church today. This is not church. I'm just telling you, and I'm going to tie it into symbolism, but I'm saying to you, if you know these things, then the symbols, which taps into the collective unconscious, is where I'm going, will allow you to protect yourself. See, I know some people couldn't correlate where I was going with this tonight, but because they go into the unconscious, the collective unconscious, because incubus goes down into the shadow archetype of you. It's in your shadows, the trickster, the magician. That's where it is. And only thing can reach that is symbols can only reach that in our world. And if you learn to protect yourself, you'll be able to do that. And I'm going to teach that in the Patreon because you can't do that out here, buddy. There is no way they're going to let me tell you some stuff out here. That's just not going to happen. So I wanted to take a disconnect, and hopefully some of you will come back in there. Some people cancel their membership. That's cool, because sorry to tell you, you can't come. It won't let you back in when you do and done. So that's fine. But, you know, for a different reason. So now the ones who there and build from there, you'll get access. We're going to go deep. Okay. And it was a lot of things I had to pray about. I had to make sure that I wanted to make sure we lead ourselves in the right direction. And it still ties us to extraterrestrials and reptilians. You better know it, right? You better know it. So we don't drop that off. But I'm just telling you, that's fine. So we're getting ready to do that. Okay. And probably twice a week. We need to be live in the Patreon twice a week. So it'll be less live days here, but more there, because it's just going to be the beauty of that. So I just want you to know. Also, what if trauma bonding isn't just human, but it's astral? That's worth thinking about, right? If trauma bonding is not just human, it's astral. That's something for you to think about when you look at this. And I'll say it again. Remember, it's all about trauma bonding. It's all about when they create the Illuminati, when they create the undetectable mind control, people, humans, they're tapping into that same area. They're tapping into the same places that do this, and that's what they're doing. So I'm just saying that it is something for us to really think about when it comes down to that. All right, so we got 3 more sections. Then we're going to get into the succubus, okay? And pretty much. All right, Scrimp says here's a super chat. Let's give him a shout out. Let's give him a luminous. All right, y'all give a shout out to Scrimp, because every penny helps. You know what I'm saying? And everything helps. So I appreciate it. And pretty much. In fact, if you want to give us, some of you, if you haven't given in a while, or remember, this is a community funded show. And I will tell you that. So I do need your support, desire your support. That's for darn sure. And we would do that. So I'm going to put our just on the screen, and maybe someone just says, okay, Roderick, here we go. We would do that. I'm trying to find. There you go. All right. So if you're finding any value tonight in the show, there's our Cash App. I would appreciate it. I'll give you a shout out pretty much. The light people are not out there tonight, but they're coming. I know they're coming. So romantic interference. But before I get to that, let's go into, you didn't call, so why are they there? Because that'd be the number one question people will have. If I didn't call them, why are they there? Most people don't summon incubus or incubi, because incubus or succubus, but incubi, we'll use that intentionally. So why do they come? Who sent them? That is going to be that's the $1 million question. Why do they come, and who sent them? That should be the question on all of you. Why? Remember, I'll tell you, not the what, it's the why. So if you didn't ask for this, but they came anyway, so you got to ask yourself, was it attraction or assignment? You get what I'm saying? Was it attraction or what is it assignment? That's something to really think about. Sometimes the incubus come through inherent spiritual contracts. There you go. Aqua Girl says could be past life connection. You get what I'm saying? They come through astral wounds or ritual residue from past lives, just like she was just saying. That's what can happen. You get what I'm saying? And so this is thing. And I'm telling you, I know I'm giving you some good stuff tonight. I know I'm giving you some good stuff tonight. And I know tonight just may get an offering in the sanctuary. Well, that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. That's why we're going to do more in the Patreon, because I had to realize those Patreon people deserve my attention, and royally, because these people are the ones that are really supporting with the membership, that the 26 membership. And I just want to thank, if you are one of those people, I thank you, because you have kept a lot of things going, because it just comes and I can count on it. You get what I'm saying? And pretty much. So Chad said, I rebuke them, the demons, in Jesus' name. You got that right. So, but you get what I'm saying, right? So why do they come? Sometimes they come through, once again, inherited spirits, contract, ancestral wounds, or residual residue from past lives. Could an incubus be attached to your bloodline? Not just you. Could they be attached to your bloodline? Ooh, wait. We talk about all this stuff as bloodline based, baby. You know that. We know it's bloodline based. You should know that by now. If you've been around here long enough, you know what I'm talking about. It's bloodline based. You know what I'm talking about, right? And what portals have you unknowingly opened through sex, trauma, and altered states? Oh, yeah. Some of y'all are sex goddesses and gods. Maybe. I don't know. Who proclaimed that? I would love to know who you are, but who proclaimed that you're a sex goddess or god? And please have some proof. Let us be able to call somebody up who knows you and say, hey, do you know such and such? Yeah. They say they're a god or a sex goddess. And they should say, heck yeah. Or they're going to be like, yeah, right, whatever. Do anybody got proof of that? But get what I'm saying, though. This is not that kind of show. So I know we got kids. If you got kids, put them to bed. You know that. But what I'm saying is that possible? Is it possible when it comes to that? Because there's a lot of ways that they come. Sex and trauma and altered states are gateways to get into that lower three chakras that we talked about, self and all that stuff. Somebody said, bruh. Sonya said, bruh, what? Dr. Strange, y'all laughing? What? Did I ask the right question? Or is that your answer? You are, you not, or something? You know, I'm just saying. And I know we don't want to be calling the whole list, but some of y'all send a whole list like, look, here's 30 people you can call. Yeah, we talking about this 30 people you can call. It'd be like, all right, there we go. All right, y'all give S. Jones a luminous for the cash out. Thank you. All right, appreciate it. I'm gonna give you another one because I just appreciate it right there. Yeah, appreciate it for the cash out support. Sonia says she's a goddess. We women can't be telling you we. Come on, if you got it, you got it. You better believe, the next woman I marry, if she proclaims to be a goddess, not a high school diploma in the bedroom, not a bachelor degree, not a doctor's degree, not a double doctorate. But if she said a goddess, and then like I'm in the winter, not the winter, I'm in the fall of my life right now at 55. And you're talking going into the fall and winter of my life with a goddess? You better be what? Now, don't get me wrong. She got to have conversation too, because we got to talk. But I'm saying this is how it is. So you're talking about trauma. And that same goddess or same person you're with could be trauma and astral. So let me skip that. But anyway, who benefits if you're constantly being physically drained without knowing? The parasites does. The parasites are the one that does that, period, right? The parasites are the one, period, that does that. when you think about it. So could an incubus be spiritual agents of another intelligence? Now we get into the extraterrestrial stuff. Now we get into those beings, because ghosts, extraterrestrials, incubus, demons, spirits, the good ones, the bad ones, they all travel in that other dimension. They all do. When you open up the door for one, you can open up the door for some other stuff that comes right on in. When you think you're doing this whatever and open up the door to meet this deity that's your protector, well, that same door that unlocks is opening up what's coming right behind him, or it, or her, or whatever you want to call it. You got to be careful with this stuff, because you get a lot of people that once that door open, they may have that protector, and that protector's fighting, but it's something. That is one area I don't go into so deeply when it comes down to that. Because I'll get people might say, hey, yeah, no. Because I don't have a lock for that door, except for the protection that I have for ones that's trying to get through and to do pick the lock. I am protected from the lock pickers. But when you intentionally, permissionally open the door, you don't want to play with that. That's all I'm going to tell you. We women can't be telling you that we are sex goddesses. Then you're not. Because those who can claim it don't have a problem saying it. But that's okay. You don't have to be one, Sonya. But I get it. But you're not. You have to, there's no difference. You meet somebody and they tell you they're a good man or woman. They need to tell you up front. You don't need to figure that out along the way. All right, so just humor. But romantic interference. Now, this is where this problem ties into some things that I was talking about. The third party you can't see is the problem here. Jealousy, obsession, sudden breakups. It's an incubus playing games with your love life. Remember, I told you in my personal life years ago that, this woman was acting like all the time that she's making love to Jesus at night. Oh, I was unnecessary. And I was like, really? Because I know he ain't touching you in like I do or could. So remember, I had to change the game plan, right? But you get what I'm saying, though. Someone said I would join the membership. Only contribute the minimum membership because all I can afford, I only make a work and will contribute. But let's change that. Join it because we're going to empower you later. Not now, just wait. Because you're going to make more than that. So don't claim that. Just say right now, temporarily, because your value is more than that, okay? So you will. But I'm going to be here for you. And we're going to be archiving everything, okay? So let's just go with that. But you're better than that. Don't worry about it. All right, so, but you get what I'm saying? That now we're talking about romantic interference, jealousy, obsession, sudden breakups. Is an incubus playing games with your love life? Yes, it happens, people. It really does happen. I guarantee you it happens. I guarantee you it happens. I guarantee you there's incubus, succubus that are messing with folks and they wake up and think it is somebody else. In some cases, it could be the man or woman that they're infatuated with, could be somebody else's husband, boyfriend, or whatever the guy is. There are some of you during the process of your intimacy, it's probably thinking of somebody else and you think it is them that you're thinking about, but it's the incubus tying in, draining that energy that you should be giving to your mate for you all to connect, and he or she doesn't even receive it. And you wonder why you think you got some good stuff. And you wonder why it's not that good to them. Maybe they're not receiving it. Maybe, remember I told you that the incubus can do semen extraction from a man and a woman. We're going to talk about that in the succubus for the women in a few minutes. So you may not think, because we know that it's changing a lot of stuff. Anyway, you shouldn't be just out there doing with a bunch of folks. But if you hear what I'm saying. But anyway, if you finding value in the show tonight, maybe a lot of people's not finding enough value. Maybe we got to start, because another thing we're going to do in symbolism, let you know, especially in the Patreon, it's time to teach you sacred geometry, alchemy, and all of this stuff to tie into your business logos and business principle, the right colors and all of this stuff, because they're doing it. The corporate people do it, and this is how they make billions of dollars. So why not you start learning those things? You know, I plan to implement all of my business strategies with another project I'm working on. You know, I'll teach it here and I'll implement it there. Okay. Because it's not nothing bad. It's all programming that we all have. Why not tap into and reach the people that you're supposed to reach? And then we'll do that. So maybe we need to upgrade our whole audience, because if all of you was making $1 million, imagine the contributions. But that's okay. We're going to get there as a collective. But before we get to that, is the incubus playing games with your love life? Because that's some serious things. Because if you thought it was you thought it was them, but maybe it's a third energy. Jealous, possession, unseen incubus don't just hunt your bedroom. They sabotage your emotional life. This is the plan. They do that. They do that. I'm telling you. They do just that. So I don't know. Just George said, or being harassed and violated by what looks like my ex. I feel violated. It looks like my man at first, then the face changes. Thank you. So finally somebody's talking. I'm telling you, this is happening all over the place. It's happening all over the place. It does. He said, bro, I bet your girlfriend getting graped and goat would hinder the relationship. Yes, it would. Pink Eye said, my mom is Salvatorian and used to tell me of a cursed ghost called La Sequanta. She would lure me in. All right. So is it Saguinanaba, Nabia, or whatever? But that's my grammar box. It's all good. But that's all right. Somebody said my last girlfriend was an incubus. No, she wasn't. Nicola Sprinkling. No, she wasn't. Well, I don't know, because whatever your preferences are, but an incubus is a male going after female. If it was your girlfriend, but okay, it would be a succubus if it's a female going after male, but maybe it depends. Depends on your preference. Okay, so I call correctness on that for me. All right, but what if you thought it was them, but it was a third party? But the incubus don't just haunt your bedroom. They sabotage your emotional life. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so it'll be a succubus. We're going to get on the succubus next. So, yeah, then you'll get some of you'll get that. All right. So, so have you ever felt unexplained block between you and a good partner? Think about that. So that's a question. Have any of you ever had an unexplained block between you and a partner? Either way, have you ever thought about that? An unexplained block between you and a partner. So just think about that question. Why do a toxic lover lingers in your dreams even after healing work? Boy, do I know. Boy, do I know. I was married to a velociraptor in the bedroom back in, that was no problem. If this was a brick, and I got hit in the head and got amnesia and forgot I had a little red rocket, it was still going down. It was still going down. Because, like I said, it was a velociraptor. But I'm saying it was a lot of trauma, too, that came along with that relationship. And I told you, I went through a lot of trauma release some months and a year ago back. Finally. You get what I'm saying? So I'm just letting you know. It's whatever. How do good astral lovers be anchoring you to the wrong timeline? That is particularly powerful to even think about, people. That is something to think about. You get what I'm saying? An incubus could be competing with your human partners or manipulating both of you. I know this is hard for people to think about because we're into this. I'm from Missouri, the show me state, or if you only see it to believe it. But you got to remember, your mind. Remember, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. But when we're talking about this unconscious world, it's all up in here. And there was a lot of stuff going on up in here right now. I can sit here right now and tell you a story about a big purple dinosaur right now. Imagine a purple dinosaur with a tongue this big, male or female, and what they can do with this big old pink tongue this purple dinosaur has. You see it right now in your mind, right? You already probably put a name on it. You probably said Borny or Bornette, whatever. But it's an imagination. And I'm just playing with storytelling. These people got the tools. These incubus and succubus and deities and demons and entities and aliens and all this, they got the tools to reach you in the unconscious. Symbols block it. That's what I learned a long time ago. This is why I knew the most important thing to begin to go move us into symbolism. And I'm talking deep-rooted stuff. I'm going to lose a few people because they're going to want to just talk about aliens, and it's still connected to aliens. That's our DNA. We're going to talk about it. Reptilians and all that stuff, because symbols is the only thing that's going to help you, because that's where they're fighting us at. It was a slow road to get you there, but I think it's time, because I'm getting more and more people having these experiences, out-of-dimensional experiences, astral, higher selves, because that's where they're playing at. The game is the mind. So as we end the last part of this, the incubus, and we're going to get into the succubus now. Not yet, but after this. Are you conjure with caution? Not all spirits are equal. I know some people do it. There's a ritual system called benevolent incubus. That I've heard of that. But without it, you're playing with fire. I'm telling you. You're playing with fire. You're playing with fire. I'm just telling you. Some incubus are allies, some of them are protectors, some of them are teachers. But opening that door without discernment invites everything. I know a lot of people that summons all kind of deities. I ain't mad at them. I know a lot of people that do it. I know a lot of people that do it. A lot of people. There was a time, that you just got to think about that stuff. But you got to be careful. Because when you open up that door, you're playing with fire. You're playing with fire. Because ritual intention and purification are the keys, not accessories. And you need sigil protection. When my guy, Brother Joseph, come and visit, and, he'll be here, me and him going to sit down on some stuff. He's a perfect place to give you some power. He's going to activate a lot of the sigils and stuff that we do, even though I'll show you, but he's going to give you some deeper stuff because it's important. It's not witchcraft, it's protection in the unconscious world, the collective unconscious, to be exact. That's all right, though. That's fine. But those of you in the Patreon, listen to me. I promise to God, I'm telling you, this is where we're going. We're going to be in there twice a week. And we're going to be talking about sigil protection. We're going to go deep in some stuff. And hopefully you're there. And for those of you, if you cancel it, it might not let you back in. I'm sorry, because I think that's what it does. I think that's what I read. But that's okay, because I wasn't serving you properly, but I had to realign. I just want, but for those of you stuck with me, thank you. I'm just really so glad. But nothing will be as it was ever again. I'm just letting you know. So, because this is the world that we're in, people, you're going to understand the protection from corporate media, all these things that they're doing, because it's right there in our face every single day. All right. So, what protection do you use before engaging any spiritual intimacy? This is where you need to understand this stuff. Now, I'm not deeply to be a coach in that area. I'm not going to coach you to summon up no deities. That ain't even it. But there might be some people that we can get that teach you if that's what you desire. But just remember, you're playing with fire, true fire. What's the cost of calling in something powerful without knowing its purpose? You better be ready for that, people. You do not play with this. That's all I'm telling you. And do you know the difference between summoning and being summoned? That right there should stick with you for a week. There is a difference between summoning and being summoned. They even say that in the religious world. Some were called and some wasn't. They already say that too. Some of them Jesus called and some of them didn't, but they're ministers and they're pastors. There's a big difference. All right, so now we're going to get into the succubus. Spirit is what it's called. Intended. This is the female aligned entities, and they have masculine targets. Now, you got to remember, in the shadow world, there's an anima and animus. Every male has an animus, and the females have an anima. So there's masculine energy in every female, and there's feminine energy in every male. So you could be attacked by a male and vice versa. They just got two different names, but if they're going after your feminine energy in a male, it could be a male succubus, which probably explains some of the cause that people feel that they're being sleep paralysis and something's on their back. And it could be a male, and they feel the weight. Because, yeah, it may be you, a male body, and a male behind you. You could visualize that, but he's after your anima, your feminine energy. Okay? And that's probably why some of these people can't tap into it, because it's been sucked out of them too. But it's the shadow. When it comes down, the symbolism of that, if you get what I'm saying. That's y'all get what I'm saying, right? So be careful of that. It's the difference between the female who have masculine energy, the good part that you want to tap into, that don't have it, which is not the part that balances things out, because it could be getting sucked out by a female incubus. Okay, succubus. So let's get into it. Who's visiting you at night? This is the question is, dreams are vivid, the touch feels real, but could it be a succubus crossing into your world? So now we're speaking to the men from the feminine succubus coming out. You feel warm, you feel the presence, you feel arousal. Yeah. How many of us woke up straight up in the mornings? Well, I do. I have. You get what I'm saying. Now you're talking to, come on, guys, don't leave me hanging. Don't leave me hanging. Stand up. If that's possible. But it's real. It's not physical, right? Succubus don't knock either. They don't knock. They entice. And sometimes you wake up changed. I know I probably had some dreams and it was a succubus. I know it was. Because I don't think some of these women are that creative. I'm just saying. Because that succubus is creative. Very creative. Seductive. And they say nice things. You go, boy. They say some things. You go, boy. See, a lot of women won't tell their man. A lot of women ain't going to go in his ear and just say, you go, boy. Because they just don't do it. They just don't. But that succubus, look, my guy's talking about, yep. He talking about, yep, rise up. He talking about, yep, rise up. Yak says in Central America, some medicine teachers marry and have lifelong relationships with them for protection. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's not, people, this is real, people. We're talking, this is a strange world we live in. That's all I'm trying to tell you. This is a strange world that we live in. Somebody said, damn, near every morning, 4 for me. All right, see, I don't know why the fellas can speak up, but the ladies can't. See, when I tell the fellas to say, hey, you know what I'm saying? Are you rising up, stand tall? And they're like, yeah. When I ask the women, we can't tell you that. We can't tell you that the rivers are flowing. We can't tell you that it's raining there. Maybe it's not. But you get what I'm saying. All right, this is not that kind of show, but I'm just talking. But the whole point I'm saying is that you feel the present, the arousal, it's real, but it's not physical. Succubus don't knock. They entice, and sometimes you wake up changed. You really do. So, to the men, I read everything you posted. I really do. I read everything you post. I just don't comment on everything everybody posted. Don't take it personal. It's a lot of posts flowing, but I read them. I read your posts. I'm reading it now. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made your comment. I read everything you post. Yeah. I read what you posted earlier. Yeah, I read them. Because I do read them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I read earlier when I was talking about summoning spirits, and when you was like, yeah, everybody's summoning everything. I just didn't repeat it, but I read your post. I just want you to know. Yeah, I got you. 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 But I will say that if you want your post to stand out, you can do a 99-cent super chat, and I'll put it on the screen every single time. All right, so let me continue because we're talking to the men now. Have you ever had a sexual dream that felt more than a waking experience? Now, that was a good dream. Remember when we were young, they used to say, oh, you had a wet dream last night. Y'all remember that, right? They said it all the time. For us fellas, they used to say, well, you had a wet dream last night. When I was young and when I was younger, I was like, man, I ain't had one of those. This is when I was, and the older boys, homies on the corner be talking about it. I'm like, all right. But I don't bet not have been attacked by no succubus that time of night. You get what I'm saying? But y'all get what I'm saying. We don't tell y'all because y'all going to want it so bad. What is wrong? Girl, you gonna open me up tonight. Why y'all don't understand how simple men are this is the punishment. This is why a lot of people lose good men too. If you got it, you give it and watch what you get back. Well, if you give it to the right person. All right. I'm getting out of that because boy, I tell you what, if we had a fellas around this table and we posted that comment in a men's only group, a woman said that, they're going to be like, you ever heard of football when they wave somebody, be like, we cutting them or whatever? You better believe you want somebody to want it. You better believe that, and yours only. That's for sure. All right, so have you ever had a sexual dream that felt more than any waking experience? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Just Joy said, yep, that's when it was about the real good something. Yeah, it wakes me up. Okay, cool. All right, so it wasn't what if it wasn't your subconscious, but it was a visitation that you was having? What about that? Why do these encounters often occur at 3 a.m.? Somebody just said it a while ago. At 4 a.m. in the morning. I forget who had wrote that a while ago. Was it low key or somebody? But somebody said 4 a.m. So why do these encounters often occur at 3 a.m. or during sleep paralysis? See, now we get into the sleep paralysis. Now we get into a sleep paralysis. You get what I'm saying? All right, my guy, need that wrench. Okay, yeah. I'll get with you and WhatsApp app and add you, to the moderation for sure, 100%. All right, so why, could the succubus be linked to ancestral female spirits watching over or watching you? That's another thing to think about. Could they be watching over or watching you? What will be the difference? One of the two. And so we're talking sex, spirit, and psychic activation, activation. So some succubus don't just take, they initiate and can intimacy with a spirit unlike psychic powers. Some say it does. Because you got to think about it. When you go back to the Knights of Templar and all of the elites, they will, or I forget which rituals, but they all did sexual rituals. All of them did. The Illuminati, and what you hear now, all of the stuff is all based on sexual rituals right now. They all are bringing in these different spirits and deities and everything else. and that sexual encounter is it. You get what I'm saying? Josh George said they're watching. Leading into sometimes the dreaming spirit is so good you want to go back again. It does affect the real world. Let me tell you something. If I'm with a woman, and I'm looking over there, the sheets are moving, and she's really in it, I'm going, wake up. And she could be like, what happened? I don't know, but boy, wake up. And when she wake up, you're going to be in her face, I'm, hey, baby, good morning. Now, I wouldn't physically do that, but you get what I'm saying. It's what do you do? What do you do, man or female? You look over and your mate is going to town with an entity. You can't see it, but you got the cameras. You're going to film it. What do you do? What do you do? Or you're going to go get some holy water and talk about it in the name and why it's happening? What do you do? What do you do when she says it's happening every night, bro? And you got to say, well, whatever. I'm going to tell you what I would do. If I look over and it's happening, I'm going to tell you what I would do. I'm going to join in. It's going to be a threesome. Plain and simple. I ain't going to let no wasted moment go down. Because obviously, they got it working there. They done reached there in the up collective unconscious area and activated some other stuff that the experience is all of ours. Appreciate you. Plain and simple. And if it's happened to me, please, lady, join in. I'll be like, baby, tonight, if such and such come and you see me, join in. Because obviously she's doing something you can't do. And in the dream world, I'm 3 hours, baby. I go 3 hours in the dream world. You better join in. Because the other moments over here is quick, but join in. I'm just saying, it's going to be a threesome. But anyway, could your Kundalini have been stirred without your awareness? Because you got to think about the entities and everything else. And I know, right? The movie, the entity, but you get what I'm saying. So is it taboo around spiritual sexuality meant to suppress activation? Because those are the questions that you want to have when you come to this. Now, we're getting ready to get a little deeper, and I'll change the tone a little bit, Shootout. I know that's right. I'm joining. I know, right? We're getting down. But the other part I'm saying is you're talking to messages from death or past lives. Now, let's kind of go a little eerie with this. This is where we're going to go. Are succubus really just astral spirits, or are they carrying a message from the other side? Now, that'll be something, because some succubus appear during grief, near-death experiences, or soul retrieval journeys that you hear a lot all the time. And they're not always demons when people say this. They may be guides from previous lifetimes. So that's something that, as I change the tone a little bit, that could be a little more serious when you think about this, right? You never know. It could be a little more serious. So have you ever dreamt of someone who you never met, but felt like you've known them forever? I don't know. Have you ever dreamt of someone you never met, but felt like you've known them forever? I mean, that's a question to ask. When you think about what if a succubus or fragments of your own soul, or returning from forgotten dimensions? Because all the stuff that you think, it's not creepy. People, this is our strange world that I'm talking about. This is questions that I will have too. I don't know. When you think about, do spirits return as lovers to finish stories that was left unfinished in other lives? We're talking past life stuff. Our girl said it sounds fun theory, but hell no, in reality, I don't want that spirit attached to me now. I get you. Vulcanist said it's being in another plane of existence, like the boogeyman, and it would cause people to have nightmares and drain their energy. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah. Dr. Strange said he just got back. Welcome back. But you get what I'm saying. Could a sexual encounter in a dream be a spiritual reunion from a parallel past? I mean, if I was a king in my other lives and I had 120 concubines, I would look, bring them spirits back. Shit, let me wake up in my night dream and I'm surrounded by 120. And they doing the most imaginable things, maybe, that dream world, you can't wait to go to sleep. They said, Michael, that's how he was, Dr. Yak says sex rituals like the Garfafini Punta dance are possessed from spirits at certain levels. Interesting. So let's move on to creative surge or emotional chaos, because succubus often linked to sacral chakra, fueling passion or pulling you into an emotional storm. So we're talking about sudden inspiration, violent mood swings, erotic obsessions. That's not just chemistry that's going on. This is energy hijacking, and the succubus could unlock creative genius or unlock spiritual chaos. So have you ever created something brilliant after a powerful dream or a sexual rush? That's something to think about. I would think it'd be a wonderful thing. You finish with your mate and now you get up and you're on a drawing board in the room and come up with a financial plan that you guys go, oh shit, I need to give him some more or her some more of that. I mean, some stuff is questionable. Do you turn it down or do you not? Somebody talk about I can have more power than 120 if aligned. I don't know, Nicole. I don't know. I think 120 versus 1. I mean, somebody got a headache. You got 119 left to play with. Somebody else is acting up. You got 118. Someone else is that, time in a month. You go, okay, that's 5. You can have 10 of them. Now you got 120, 9 left. I don't know. I'm just talking. But anyway, why do artists, mystics, visionaries often report being visited or amused by feminine spirit? You hear that all the time, right? They're being amused by feminine spirits, You tell me you got to feed them. Not in the spirit world, you don't. No, you don't. You ain't got to feed them in the spirit world. No, you don't. They're going to wear you out after the first 20. Get some of that, right? Yeah. It's. Yeah. There was a lady. Never mind. But anyway, you let me keep going. I hear you, Sonia. You sound like my ex asking me to be one of 4 wives. Now I don't want that in my real life. Period. Not even close. I want one. I don't believe in that on a theoretical part, but a humorous side, yeah, okay, that's fine. But no, not unless it's just, she come in and say, baby, I got to give you some bad news. This just don't work anymore, but I got a replacement for you. And if it was permissible, she's like, baby, it just don't work. And what happened to it? Well, it broke. But don't worry, I got a replacement. We got Geico, and her name is Gaikila. So I'm bringing in Gaikila over here. She'll take the place, but I still cook or whatever, but Gaikila got you. Okay. We got insurance. But anyway, I know, that's crazy. That's crazy. But anyway, let's go back. Let me get back on track. So again, can too much sacral energy lead to breakdowns masked as a breakthrough? Because that's something you want, because how do you know if your passion is yours or was it planted? Because that's something if you start thinking about all that, right? You gotta think about it, at this point. So now we get into the more seductive part. Are you being seduced or hunted when you start thinking about these succubus? Because not all succubus are sweet. Some are predatory. You are being romanced or spiritually violated. We talked about that earlier tonight, you know? You know what I'm saying? That is something. He said, my ex is full of regret. I had to block her. Good for you? If that's the case, yeah. If y'all got kids together, no, not good. If they're young kids and they don't have their own phones, you got to leave that communication open at all costs, brother, at all costs. Suck it up. All right, so have you ever felt, like I said, something watching you during intimacy when you're alone? Even when you're alone, have you ever felt something watching you? I mean, remember the movie Deja Vu? Denzel Washington played in. There was a scene where Paula, whatever her name was, Patton, you know, and he put the little beam in, or she was writing in her diary because they were watching her through that time machine, and she was like, "I feel like I'm being watched." What if that's really happening? You know, when you think about this stuff. Dr. Strange says he never feel alone. See, now I'm getting somewhere because I knew I was going to get deeper for y'all tonight, but think about those things. What if it's something more than that when we're going with this? Do dark spirit wear a mask of beauty to feed off masculine loneliness? They could. Scrump said, gotta bounce now. Much love. Appreciate you, brother. All right, we'll see you later. All right. You know, that's it. You know, let me check. I'm going to take this little Cash App thing off because only one person decided to bless us tonight. That's okay. Cool. I got a plan, though. I got my plan. I got my plan. All right, so how do we redefine consent when the battlefield is astral? How do you, right? Remember I say that they don't have to knock. They can just take stuff. They can do all of those things when it comes down to this. Judith says she's been watched ever since she was a child. Yeah. He said she literally tried to take me out. I'm not working that. I'm not working this time. Oh, it's not, sorry, I'm not working, or it's not working. And someone said, I always feel like being watched. Yeah. Guided, so to speak. Okay. Yeah. So if you're feeling that way, then there you go. And the intuition ain't bad. Sometimes you are being watched. Sometimes you are being, you know, looked at from somewhere else, and could be. You remember the Truman story, right? Even King Kong, you know, he didn't like it. King Kong didn't like it, you know, when it came down to this. All right, so I'm going to remove this show your support stuff. I hate looking at it. And it's just in my face and stuff. And then, you know, let me just, I know I got to work on my ego. Not ego, but yeah, that's the ego thing. When I just don't want to see it because, yeah. No, it's all good though. I'll work on it. It's the ego, shadow work, you know. However, we want to say, how do we define consent? Because sometimes it's a different story. Yeah, you got to surround yourself with light. I do that all the time. I close my eyes and I visualize light all around me. You know, you have to do that. That's true. So as we come to the last part of this a little bit, there are ways to summon with protection. There is. I heard that, with intention and guidance. But once you open the door, once again, are you sure it's the right one? Because you really don't know. Succubus you summon may not be all the ones that answer, you know, and so that's something that you want to do. So if you're going to go looking into this, but again, in the Patreon, we'll start talking about sigil creation. You know, I have a lot of different things you can do, and we can talk about shadow stuff and symbolism, and talk about what they're doing and all this stuff, you know, and you know, in the real world, we're going to repair, you know, get you prepared to block a lot of this stuff out. Also, do you think spirits respect ritual boundaries or only power? You know, that's something to really think about. What are the safeguards if you have in place and summon an entity who turns on you? Sometimes that happens, you know, and if the trade-off not there, have you ever invited something in that you regretted? Some of us do that now. We got people in our lives that we regret that we let them in our lives. You know, we just didn't see it. And can you truly summon something you don't really fully understand? So the thing that I'm going to leave us with, because I was going to do the phone lines, but I'm not going to do that tonight. You know, we could think about it though. You know, we uncovered those methods, and you know, tonight we talked about it. But now the real question is, what did they leave behind in you whenever we talk about the seed, them taking the seeds and doing that? I didn't get into that a lot of deep. I wanted to, you know, but incubus or succubus encounters are not just nocturnal violations. They are symbolic initiations. So I want you to know that's where the symbolism comes in. And it's a test to see if you know the difference between love and control or seduction and sovereignty. That's why we go into the collective unconscious, so that you balance all these things out and you can protect your sovereignty. You get what I'm saying? Those are the things that you want, you know, when you get down to this. So before you close your eyes tonight, I want you to ask yourself, was I ever really sleeping alone? I'm not trying to give you no bad dreams or anything, but just ask yourself, were you ever sleeping alone? Because it's worth noting. It's a question that, you know, fuse the questions, you know, when you think about it, you know, to give you an idea or understanding, you know, it really does at the end of the day. And everything else. I think it's something, once again, for us to give thought to it, you know, when you look around at it and everything else. And once again, if you like the video, I definitely want you to hit the like button tonight. We don't even have 100 likes in here tonight. I know. And then again, like I said, we need new moderators. We need some vigilant moderators. We need some tenacious moderators, especially when we start having some of these gifts and guests. I'm sorry. We need some people that are some snipers. You know, the attitude of, you don't say that. Oh, I thought you was going to say something. Oh, you may say something. I need people that are time travelers, moderators. Do you think they're going to say something stupid again, and the next time in the future, you block them? After the videos, that's when they really attack me, you know? They'll say some stuff after the video, so they know y'all not watching, you know? One guy said, I hate this dude. Now, he said, I don't even know why this guy keep coming up in my feed. I don't even like him. But he clicked on the video. Really? 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 Someone said they're this, blah, blah. I mean, they do some crazy stuff. They said after the show. And some of y'all read them. Y'all don't say nothing about it. Nobody protects it and say, hey, you know, stop talking about our friend. You know, I'm your friend. But that's all right. I don't have my protection mala. Whoa, but I got my protection bracelet. Crystals. This is my courage and all other stuff, mala. So I'll do my 108 meditations tonight. But anyway, so ask yourself, was I really alone? And the next time we explore hybrids, you remember alien stuff, the dream seeds and bloodlines that touch things that, you know, we're going to get into a lot of stuff. And then until the end, I want you to keep your energy high. You know what I'm saying? I want you to keep your spirit shielded. I want you to keep your soul sovereign. And I just want you to know it's not over, man. And you may not believe it, but I think, oh, she said I would have it Monday. Yeah, I was just thinking about it. I don't have, because I wear that thing like a piece of clothing, man. I sure do. So Judith is working on it, doing a repair. Now, because this one here, boy, King Kong can't do nothing against this one. So this is tight. I feel the tightness in this bad boy. So, yeah. So I hope that, I made a 108 wooden prayer beads. Yeah, I'm gonna get one of them big ice cube ones like pretty soon, and I think we're gonna make another one, put the luminous on it. Judith, I was talking about that too, and pretty much, y'all need to let her. I don't know if she does it retail wise for y'all, but she loves doing this kind of stuff. But anyway, so let you know, we're going to our next meet and greet when we have it September the 20th. We're going to still have our sound healing. I think I showed y'all some of that the other day. I may still have a clip in here, I think. Just give you a portion of, you're going to have some sound healing when you do this. And so definitely come, and then that way you can get into that. Let me show you a quick clip. All right, so there's going to be some sound stillness. So a set is going to be doing that from 10 to 11 to kick things off. And then, like I say, from 11 to about 12:30 or whatever, we'll do our kind of our round table discussion, share experiences or whatever. If any of you come in, there's any particular topics that you want to talk, or we're going to be speaking. I'm going to have Cinnamoon's going to be there. I think, well, she'll be there. Empress, a couple of people, they're going to be, I'm giving a couple of them 30 minutes to kind of do some of their teaching and talking and stuff. And then I'm going to do kind of a question Q&A, and then I'm going to do a symbolism stuff for you. And then we're going to talk some stuff. So this is going to be an itinerary. So it's going to all be scheduled to speak and stuff. So you're going to hear some good stuff, good seating. And then we're going to fellowship with some good food. You can get to a plate, I'll start getting the menu together, and then you can just kind of support us from there, because we can all hang out. That way you ain't got to go to all these restaurants and stuff. So we're going to grow it. And then I'm going to have mystery guests and all that. So now it's an organized fashion. You'll have the whole time. We're going to extend the time so we can hang out a little longer and, get some stuff in our bellies. And then even when we fellowship now, it's all bars open question. We're all around and doing what we're doing. So it's going to be a wonderful thing when we do that. So if you're down for that, I'll start. Again, you get in our text list. I don't have a number here on the screen, but I'll put it up in a minute. And, later on, let me see. This is the old slide, but the text number is the same. So you can get on a text list right up there, 888-440-9771. Type the word meetup, and it'll put you on our text list so that you get all updates and stuff when, we have our next event. And so again, it'll be September the 20th. It's going to be good, and everything else from there. So if you can make it down, if you plan on coming. Now, if you plan on coming, that's fine, and all that good stuff. Come on down. Judah flew down from someplace. I don't know where she came from, outer space or somewhere. Place up there where they got all them lakes and stuff, Michigan and stuff. And then, of course, my guy came in from San Antonio, him and his girlfriend and stuff. So that was pretty good there. All right. So, again, I want to thank each and every one. Like I said, I was going to open the call line, but I'm not going to do it tonight. So I'm just going to, turn that part off. And so, we're not going to open up the call lines tonight. And then let me look here. All right. So McGee, appreciate for the support on the Cash App. All right. Thank you. He said it was a great show. I appreciate it. I'm being honest with you. I see other influencers, man. I know we got to grow the audience, but I got a different plan to do it and to give more. I got a lot of connections though, and sometimes our audience is not big enough for some of them to come on our show yet, because there's no gain. They can't sell, products and stuff. And some of them will come for love offerings and different stuff, but I'm well connected, but I'm fixing it. I'm working on that to get access for you and all that. But that's the other part of my Patreon people. So I'm just letting you know, we'll do probably our last Thursday show live, unless we do it at 7:00. We'll be here for now on. We're going to be doing 2 lives in the Patreon starting next week, 2 times a week, training, talking, and all of that stuff. So we're going to be doing that. It is better that way because, those are, the folks there, right? But don't worry, some of that stuff will be archived. You can always go back and see it. The Patreon is going to be our community, because in there is a community. We can all communicate with each other, chat, talk, ask for questions. And as you know, I have those files if you got special requests there, it'll be, you know, now that I'm gonna be there, we'll be answering those chats. I don't know if we need moderators in there or not, but we're gonna build a Patreon, and really do that, because again, I apologize, but it was spiritual for me, as I stopped putting certain things in there for about a month, and of course, you know, again, rightfully so. Some people said, "Hey, I'm out." You know, he's not posting in there. I get it, but those of you who hung in there, I appreciate you, and I got something special for all of you because I got a list of you, so I will, you know, send you a special message behind the scene, and please just look for that within the next several days or whatever, and then I got something for you for that, pretty much, and it'll be something I'll ship out to you. So we're going to do that. But anyway, that is the focus, and so we will be only live streaming here maybe twice a week, and then the other 2 days I'm gonna be in the Patreon, because most of us creators are learning that's where we need to go, because of the support there, and it helps balance everything out, because we don't get enough views to do anything. Now I'm looking for sponsors, so if you're a business and you got a small business, you want to sponsor our meetups, which is a real good value, because every show I will mention you are the sponsor of the meetup. So, you know, every time I mention the meetup, sponsored by you, even on Forbidden Knowledge, you know, so your business, especially, you got somewhere they can go online and buy your products and services, that'll be really cool. Reach out to me and contact thewildandbigsecret.com. I will start promoting about sponsorship on Forbidden Knowledge next week, which that's a bigger audience, so they probably jump on it really fast. But if you guys are interested, one of you, be on a monthly basis, or you know, we'll do you know, we'll talk about all that. But anyway, so if you have a business and you want to do, if you want to sponsor the show, you know, the show is brought to you by, you know, I think that'll help us too. And as we build, and then I have a treat on some other stuff that we're going to be doing. So with that being said, I love you. I love the 2 people that cashed out tonight, but I love the ones who couldn't, and I love the ones who thought about doing it. And I love the ones who say, I will never do it. So I love everybody. I really do. All right. So I love y'all. We'll see you tomorrow for our Thursday, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So thank y'all again. I love each and every one of you, and let that be the challenge of love tonight. Let me find my thing so I can give you the proper outro. Man, I know I have it somewhere. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I love each and every one of you, and then we will do what we're doing, and we would do that. Okay. So good night, y'all. Let me look down here. All right. Good night.
UFOs,
UAPs,
unidentified anomalous phenomena,
unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Who are they? Where are they from? And what is their intent?
all questions that immediately come to mind with the mention of UFOs.
A Pentagon report is detailing a dramatic increase in UFO sightings, more than 350 since 2021. Many of them are explained as being drones, birds, or weather events, but about half of them remain unexplained.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
This video taken by the Navy showing what he describes as pyramid-shaped UFOs flying over the USS Russell off the San Diego coast in July of 2019. The Pentagon has since confirmed that the video is authentic.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Late this afternoon, a bulletin from New Mexico suggested that the widely publicized mystery of the flying saucers may soon be solved. Army Air Force officers reported that one of the strange discs had been found and inspected sometime last week. Our correspondents in Los Angeles and Chicago have been in contact with Army officials endeavoring to obtain all possible late information. Joe Wilson reports to us now from Chicago. The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucers. As a matter of fact, the 509th Atomic Bomb Group headquarters at Roswell, New Mexico, reports that it has received one of the discs which landed on a ranch outside Roswell. The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
More people are coming forward with their own sightings.
Videos recorded by U.S. Navy personnel have added a new layer of evidence to the current national debate about UFOs.
Right at that moment, I saw what looked like 5 lights flying in formation in kind of an inverted check mark.
The NASA independent study team did not find any evidence that UAP have an extraterrestrial origin. We don't know what these UAP are.
The mysterious flying objects are still a mystery. NASA will continue investigating them and has appointed a director of UAP research.
Technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had.
Let's try.